I gotta say, I do not really like fact checkers because I do believe people should become adults and learn how to filter information properly. I mean, if you're going to go out and buy a car or buy a house or make a bank loan, there's no fact checkers there. And the other party might try to present to you a reality that convinces them so that you do business with them, even if it's for your own detriment. So, the idea of fact checking is that of a child that needs mommy and daddy to tell reality for them. However, with that in mind, I do gotta say that the Twitter fact checking system right now is the best one that I have ever seen. And this is due to the fact that everyone is getting fact checked, including Elon Musk, including the journalists. I mean, yesterday morning, there was someone posting a video of a Target, which was completely trashed. And they said, look what the conservatives have done to this Target. And immediately it was fact-checked and it was pointed out, actually, this is from the BLM protests of 2020. And the reason for the efficiency and the fact that everyone is getting fact-checked is that it's driven by community notes. And it's not just a democratic system, but it's a complex algorithm which also takes into account that if certain people disagreed with each other in the past, but they agree on this particular issue, then it must mean that what they are fact-checking is true. So, brilliant system, and of course CNN hates it. Right? Like, they absolutely despise this new platform, and they will not lose any opportunity to take a swing at it. For example, DeSantis to open presidential bid by out-Trumping Trump. Ron DeSantis to announce his 2024 White House bid in a conversation with Elon Musk on Twitter on Wednesday will make a typically blunt statement about his campaign, the unruly populism of the modern Republican Party, and an accelerating conservative media revolution. I love the fact that the word populist is used as a negative thing. Like, what? Do you want to be the unpopular party? Like, this is something that an Eastern European like me notices immediately, but Americans kind of fail to notice because Americans are very focused on race. But here in Eastern Europe, we're very focused on class. And what CNN is doing here, and this is something that I have seen a lot in Western politics, is that the journalists are being incredibly classist. In other words, and as you're going to see in this article, they consider to be above the peasantry because they actually view the world as such. They view the world as the proper decent folk, which is themselves and the people that they like. And then, the educated people, the people from the academia. And then you have the plebs. You have the masses, the dumb folk, right? And the dumb folk should not be taken into consideration when doing politics. And if you do take them in consideration when you're doing politics, then you're being a populist. Because, like, what the fuck does the peasant know? You know, like, what does the person from the underclass know about the nobility of running a country? They're uneducated. They don't know any better, right? So, like, what they think that they know. But in reality, if we were to allow the peasants to actually run the nation, even if they would think that they know what needs to be done, it would also be to their detriment. So in other words, you need to put some elites, you need to put some educated, some wise people in positions of power so that when they do the things that they do, which is of course out of empathy, equity, and all of the good stuff, it may seem for the peasant like it's a bad thing, but in reality, it's for his own good. It's kind of like the peasant is like a child. You know, he would prefer to eat chocolate chip cookies all day, but that's unhealthy. Instead, the intellectual member of society, the expert, the academic, he's going to feed the child broccoli and make sure that he eats his veggies. Even though the kid will not like it, it is for his own good. This is literally how they're thinking. Right? And when they talk about populism, this is what they talk. They don't like the fact that Ron DeSantis is going to the child and is saying, okay, well, I'm going to give you chocolate chip cookies. And they view that as populism. When obviously, in reality, there's nothing like that, right? Like, the working class knows exactly what's good for them. They know a lot better than the people at Washington. And they want to be represented in the grievances that they have. And of course, the elites and the people that are pushing for ESG nonsense and stuff, they don't want the good of the working class. They don't want the betterment of the people that are having grievances. They want these people to be completely ignored and pushed out of the conversation. So as we get to see here, apparently Twitter Spaces, the site's audio platform, also exemplifies the Trump era's GOP's transformation into a party that rewards gesture politics and whose activists respond to the unmoderated social media jungle while disdaining traditional standards of conduct and governance. So as you can see, literally, this is classist, right? Like, you need to have standards of conduct and governance. Coming from CNN, which a couple of years ago had several of its reporters getting in trouble with the law for being sex pests, who had a person masturbating on Zoom, I think they are the last institution that should moralize people about traditional standards of conduct and governance. But okay, apparently they don't like the fact that social media is unmoderated, right? Like, if you have a place that's unmoderated, it's a social media jungle, which is pretty much how the internet used to be before 2014. And as you notice, they're not upset that the crime rate was high or that, like, problems were happening. No, they're literally upset over the fact that their candidate didn't win, right? So we need to moderate the social media jungle, which, by the way, Twitter is very moderated. And as you saw when Elon Musk had the interview with the BBC journalist, he asked the BBC journalist to name one single case of hate speech, just one. And the BBC journalist couldn't. So they are lying in the hopes that by lying, enough people will believe them. So apparently, like, this is also interesting. That's because Twitter, which once offered the platform for democratic movements in the Arab Spring, has been transformed by its new owner into a febrile circus of untamed free speech, conspiracy theories, and unverifiable information. The Arab Springs had a completely unmoderated and free Twitter. Back when the Arab Spring happened, there was absolutely nothing that you weren't allowed to post on Twitter. You could have posted literally anything. Anything. Unless it was illegal. I think, like, if it was illegal, they would have taken it down. But you could have posted misinformation. I mean, even the idea that, like, you're not allowed to post misinformation wasn't even taken into remote consideration. Like this whole thing that the conspiracy theories and misinformation is something harmful is a very new thing. I mean, it's probably during the pandemic that people started taking an interest in it. But before that, absolutely not, because misinformation is free speech. Like, you can go to a pub and there can be people coming up and posting misinformation. There's a lot of misinformation that happens in our life, and yet no one decided, hey, we should criminalize this, right? Because if it was such a big deal, it would be codified into legislation. And you'd have people saying, yeah, you know, like, if you spread misinformation, you should be arrested. No one's saying that because no one believes that misinformation is something harmful. Only this week, a fake image of an exposition near Pentagon went viral, causing a blip on the stock market in a potential preview of a President Trump campaign likely to be plagued by misinformation generated by AI. Photoshop pictures on the internet have existed since the internet itself. And also, there have been on things as old as time itself. Like, for example, on the radio, there have been cases where an advertisement company would say that the aliens are landing and it would cause a panic. Like, these things happen every once in a while. But you know what? It doesn't take even a day for people to realize that it's fake. So yes, like, occasionally you may have something that so many people believe in it to the point where it may influence public opinion. But it's quickly fixed. You know, like, all of these people that sold the stock because of this picture, they probably bought it back anyway. And if not, you know, they're stupid. Like, you deserve to sell if that's the situation. Like, you're going to believe any picture on the internet? Like, surely, if it was something as massive as an explosion near the Pentagon, it should be confirmed by other news sources. You shouldn't just find it on Twitter. You should find it on CNN. You should find it on Fox News. It would be all over, right? So if you're, like, literally that of an idiot to be like, oh, well, look, an AI-generated photo. And by the way, like, the other fear-mongering with the AI generation, who gives a shit? I mean, you had Photoshop things a couple of years ago. You know, it's Very difficult to Photoshop something now because we have 4K resolution. But back in the day when you had like those computers that have 5 pixels on the screen, it was very easy to have like a photoshopped image. But anyway, right, so Musk has meanwhile shown a willingness to ignite his own Twitter infernos. So his increasingly prominent role suggests the 2024 presidential race could be just as turbulent as the one from 2016. Another mind-bending twist in the election season came Tuesday with the former president's virtual court appearance in a case arising out of a hush money payment. Right, so they're talking about the Mar-a-Lago thing. I will discuss the rest of this on my live stream because there's a lot to talk about. But like literally every line is sleazy, everything is reeking of yellow journalism, and they're really ass hurt over the fact that people get to talk with each other. Like the fact that the peasantry has the ability to communicate with one another is really what is bothering them the most. And again, this is from a website that doesn't even have its own forums, right? Like if you're really about transparency and you want to allow people to fact check the information, the best way to fact check information is through forums. Because even in the picture that they talked about, the viral one, there were many people in the comment section that were saying, no, it's false. Like this doesn't exist, it's false. But CNN doesn't allow people to talk with each other. I wonder why. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.